Let's talk about how to tackle those massive, almost impossible feeling goals without getting totally overwhelmed. The secret, as it turns out, is all about the power of starting really, really small. It's a feeling a lot of us know. There's this huge, life-changing dream on the horizon, but the path to get there just seems way too long, almost impossibly far. That feeling? It can be completely paralyzing. But what if there's a totally different way to think about it? To really get into that idea, we're going to follow the story of a young man named Like. His journey is such a powerful lesson in how to turn a massive ambition into something real, something tangible. So picture this. Like grew up in a small, quiet village, a place where life followed a comfortable, predictable routine day in and day out. But inside, Like was holding on to a vision for something so much bigger. And I mean, just look at this contrast. On one side, there's his reality, a quiet, traditional village with pretty limited opportunities. And on the other side, his dream, to build a business, to give his family a better life, and honestly, to just prove what was possible. The gap between those two worlds was absolutely enormous. Now, faced with that massive gap, it would have been easy to just give up. But Lick didn't. Instead, he came up with this simple but really powerful philosophy that became his guide for everything that came next. The very first thing was a huge realization. Like, just knew, with total clarity, that he couldn't take some giant leap from his village life straight to being a successful business owner. It just wasn't possible. That path simply did not exist. So instead, he leaned into this concept from his native Thai, Tila Gao. It means, quite literally, one step at a time. And this little phrase wasn't just a nice saying for him, it became his entire strategy. It was how he was going to break down an impossible dream into something he could actually do. Okay, so a philosophy like Tila Gao sounds great, but how does it actually work in the real world? Well, for Lick, it all came down to translating that big idea into small, consistent, everyday habits. And he started with things that were almost ridiculously small. First, just waking up a little bit earlier to carve out some extra time for himself. Second, reading just 10 pages of a book. Not the whole book, just 10 pages. And third, spending 1 hour learning something new online. None of these were huge, life-altering tasks, but the key was he did them every single day. And this is where the magic really starts to happen. It's that compounding effect, right? What was just an idea on day one quickly turned into a routine. Then, within a month, it was a solid habit. And after a whole year, those tiny little daily steps had built an incredibly strong foundation of knowledge and discipline. And pretty soon, that foundation started to actually pay off. Lake started using his new skills to take on little online jobs, things like translation gigs, typing work, and even helping some of the local shops in his own village get their stuff online. The money wasn't huge, not at first, but it was real proof that his whole one-step idea was working. But honestly, the money was only a small part of the story. The really profound change was happening inside Like's own mind. He was completely reframing his relationship with that big dream of his. This quote basically became his mantra. In those moments of doubt, or when he was just plain tired, he'd remind himself of this simple truth. Every single page he read, every hour he studied, every tiny task he finished, it wasn't just a thing he did. It was a real step forward. And this led to maybe the biggest breakthrough of all, a total shift in his perspective. See, success was no longer about how close he was to the finish line. Success was found in the daily act of just moving forward. Every small step had its own reward, its own meaning. And all of this brings us to the ultimate lesson from Lig's story. Because it's not really just about starting a business, is it? It's a universal way to approach achieving pretty much anything meaningful in life. In the end, what Laik figured out was that speed doesn't really matter. What truly matters is consistency. The journey to a big dream isn't some mad dash. It's a long, continuous walk. The most important thing is to just keep putting one foot in front of the other day after day. He might not have reached his dream yet, but he knows with absolute certainty that as long as he keeps walking, he'll get there. And that leaves us with a final thought to mull over. For any big dream that feels overwhelming, that feels way too far away, there's always a tilagao. There is always one tiny, intentional step that can be taken right now. Because as Lick's story shows us, that very first small step,
Well, it might just be the most powerful one of all.